Everyone say hi to YouTube. Okay, get it out of your system. I caught a lot of flack, okay? The last video caught a lot of flack. Why did it catch flack? Okay? It's because, apparently, it was too down on Slade. I was too sour grapes. I didn't believe, okay? I didn't believe in the potential. I didn't believe in what could be done. I didn't believe in the innovation that comes through years of practice. And I didn't believe in pushing characters to their absolute limit. So, what we are going to do is we're going to right that wrong. We are going to make a Slade matchup chart that takes into account his potential. And I present to you the Slade potential matchup chart. Matchup number 1. Zetterburn. Immediately, one of our better matchups, okay? Hear me out. Before I was telling you about how hard it is when Zetter's mashing on you, how hard it can be when you're getting boxed out, and the fact that you need wing to contest Zetter's recovery. But here's the thing. Those are still true. But in the world of potential, the world where we believe in ourselves, Zetter has a hard time potentially dealing with projectiles. And if we can get our movement down to the point where projectiles allow us to move as fast as Zetterburn, I mean, the matchup's not that hard anymore, right? The other thing is, Zetterburn's a good combo weight. As soon as we figure out how to make those combos do 80%, this matchup's going to get way easier. And then the last aspect is, Slade, pretty good off stage in terms of edge guarding. And so, as soon as we figure out the flow chart, as soon as we figure out, again, how to hit Zetterburn and gimp him off stage every time, which will happen, this matchup's going to be quite good, okay? There's going to be aspects of it that are hard, but really reliably we should win this one, okay? Especially when we're going to be zooming around the stage. Rano, you might think this is a tough one, and actually, I'm gonna blow your guys' mind, okay? Because I've seen something that you actually haven't seen. Do we get fucked up off stage in this matchup? Conventional wisdom would say yes, right? Conventional wisdom would say, yeah, this matchup's really hard because off stage, Rano just like ruins our day. But what if I told you that our recovery was potentially way better than you thought it was? I bet you didn't even think of that. I bet you didn't even put that together in your head. You wouldn't have even thought of it on the outset. But what if our recovery is potentially way better than you think it is at this given moment? And that's what makes the Rano matchup a lot more doable. Because once we get on the stage, right? Sure, Rano's fast and can camp us and all of that stuff. But also, how is he supposed to land, right? Because, in this potential universe, weak nair off stage is getting him if he drifts off stage. We have things like up tilt and up strong. How is he supposed to land? He's got a slow landing speed. So, honestly, even though the recovery could be tough, potentially it's way better. And also, how is he supposed to land? As soon as we get him up there in the air the first time and take his jump, he shouldn't get back down. And so it becomes swingy, but potentially quite good for us. Raster? I mean, if we had a +3, Raster would almost be in the +3. Okay? This character, dude, he loses to us without potential. And now with potential? Are you fucking kidding? Okay? Light character. That means that our smash attacks are killing super early. Up B's killing super early. All right? He's not fast all the time, which means we're potentially faster than he is once our item movement allows us to consistently move at that speed. And because our recovery is so much potentially better, there's nothing we even have to worry about, right? He can try and get us off stage and try and combo us or whatever, but it's never going to be more than what we can potentially do back. And so Raster actually struggles quite a bit here because he has to play neutral against us, which again, with this new item tech we're potentially talking about, makes us really, really quick, right? It allows us to get around the stage. It allows us to do a lot of mix-ups. And it allows us to ensure that Raster's not picking up the items. So he really struggles potentially in situations like that. I think Craig, you could argue for either, but I'm going to put him in potentially +2. And again, I'm not trying to sound over ambitious here, but Craig's not the fastest character in the game. Slade has some really unique tools. If we have money whenever we need it and we're pulling items consistently, you can use the bomb to break the pillar. That puts Craig in a tough spot off stage. Potentially really difficult for him. If you're playing around items, again, this like movement speed that we potentially have is really playing a role in how these matchups work with items, right? Because Craig, he's not going to have opportunities to pull rock, and he's not going to have opportunities to dash tag because, we're so potentially fast. The other aspect is, if we find some way to like mix in side B and find a way to put Craig on the back foot using something like side B as a poking tool, he's going to potentially struggle with that quite heavily. So I'm comfortable having Craig on the +2 side of things, just because really it's potentially quite hard for him. We're gonna put Fleet probably uneven. I actually, but potentially +1. I just had to think about it a little more, right? Like my heart goes to even, but then I'm like, did you consider what we're potentially doing for her, right? What we're potentially doing to her. Fleet has to play a slow neutral with us. That means we're getting our items online. That means we're getting our movement online. That means we're getting around the stage. Big stuff is happening. If we're able to use the chest off stage in unique ways to stop Fleet from floating, it becomes a lot harder for her to recover. If we use the items off stage, again, it becomes a lot harder for her to recover. And it can be tough for her because if we're parrying stuff with items in hands, she can't really zone. There's potentially big value off the tornado into other items. And again, if we're able to zone out a little bit with side B, she might have trouble getting in, which means she'll have to jump, and then she's going to get hit with stuff like up strong. So again, potentially quite challenging for her. I'm going to put Maple here. I think the biggest struggle with a character like Maple is Maple can camp Slade back really hard. Maple can really just run around the stage. Maple F tilt is bigger than some of Slade's. Tilts, then actually most of Slade's tilts, and so it can be hard to contest her in that way because she really gets to engage in her own terms. That's what I would normally say, right? That's what I would normally say about this matchup and how we approach it. However, again, we're talking about potentially having some really high proficiency over how we're using the items and how we're moving around with items, and so our speed increases, maybe not to match Maple's, but at the very least to be competitive. And as well, our potential recovery and potential offstage presence is going to make it really hard for Maple to get back to the stage. So, we go pretty even in neutral. But at the end of the day, like our advantage state is potentially very, very strong, especially when you start mixing in back airs, start mixing in combo extensions off back airs into down air, into up air. There's a lot of potential routes that you can go for against Maple that net really big damage. And so once the potential is realized on like what those routes can do, Maple is really going to struggle to like get consistent damage. I think Claren's a tough one, right? Because, we're potentially, getting as fast as Claren. Claren's already pretty fast. She has a bigger disjoint than us. She's really good at edge guarding us. So there's a lot of things that Claren does in the matchup. She's really good with items as well. I think what we're kind of hanging our hats on here is, again, this potential movement speed we've been talking about from the items. Just a way to like mix us up and get us around the stage. Potentially hard for Claren to deal with. She doesn't have a really good way to scrap once we get in. And so if we're finding consistent ways to scrap with like neutral air and back air, and get big combo damage off of that, it's potentially quite strong against Claren. I think the other bit of it that's really strong is Again, potentially how deep we can go off stage, ways to get her off the wall. If we get the chest going, coming down with like a weak nair, and potentially like wall jump fair off the back of that. Again, some potential for like going quite deep and even getting her like a rising weak nair could put her in a tough spot off stage. So I think that the speed combined with the potential off stage, and we even talked about like the potentiality of side B being a poke tool that is really, really valuable, potentially. So I think Claren's going to struggle with that as well, especially because side B1 is a bigger move, right? And so it's potentially a hard thing for her to deal with if we figure out a way to get her to not floor hug jab. Lockxodon, again, potentially +1. I think there's a lot to like here. Biggest thing, Lockxodon often doesn't have to move to zone you out, right? And he's throwing out those consistent hitbox. So if we potentially find a way to sneak items in between his hitboxes and in between the myriad of things that either catches them or bounces them off, if we potentially figure that out, we're going to be feeling pretty good. We're going to be feeling pretty good about how stuff bounces off his shield. We're going to be feeling pretty good about being able to zone him out. Again, with how fast we are now, potentially, we're going to be able to kind of run circles around him as a slower character. He's going to have difficulty reaching us, and our potential recovery as well, while we have like mixed in a lot of AGT stuff, is going to give us a lot of potential mix-ups that make it hard for him to edge guard us with stuff like fair. And again, I think another thing is, we're potentially finding ways to approach with side B1 and find value out of that. So I think that's going to give us options for figuring out how to make Lockxodon sweat a little bit. Obviously, he still has the zoning game, which is pretty good, but I think potentially quite good for us. Arcane, another potentially quite good. The main issue we've had in the past with Arcane is speed. We've sped up, right? We figured it out. The items are helping us move around the stage. We're moving quickly. And so because you can circumvent wing, because these items are so potentially fast, you really get to work around how puddle's working. You get to work around how all of that stuff is making you navigate neutral. You're going to have more stuff to do off stage. You're going to have more stuff to do when Arcane is recovering, right? Being able to cover. Oh, can up B cover it, right? Even offstage up B. Can we do weak nairs? Can we be doing fairs off stage to like potentially catch him trying to side B, right? Those lead to early kills. I think the other thing to worry about is, he's got a big wave dash. He's pretty slippery. I think again, potentially lots of stuff to find here. Potentially lots of good stuff where we're loving it, right? We're potentially loving this. Forsburn, it's a tough one, right? This is probably the hardest potentially top one, but or +1, but I actually think it's potentially pretty good. And so what you'll see here is Forsburn's faster than you conventionally. His tilts are bigger than yours. He's got more movement, even on stuff like jab. He's a little bit stronger off stage. His combo game historically has been a little bit better, but we've actually mitigated a lot of that, if you guys don't know. Because of our item gameplay, right? AGT allows us to potentially stop Forsburn from dash dancing while also getting big potential, right? Because once we figure out how to combo off of AGT projectiles, because it's a mechanic that we've never seen before, we are going to be feeling pretty good against this guy, right? Because he likes to dash dance a lot. He's not hitting a button. It makes him ripe for getting hit with item combos. An item combo confirms, right? Again, something we haven't figured out next yet, but the potential is there. I think the other thing that's going to help in this matchup, again, being able to go off stage, right? We can potentially go very, very deep, depending on how many AGTs we can do up the side of the wall, which means we can dip very low when Forsburn does smoke. We can do stuff like the landing nair, go for kind of like near suicide kill confirms, jump off the wall, throw the chest. Lots of potential there to make this character's life really tough off stage. On top of how good our potential item confirms are, knowing that they are potentially there. Etilus, I've completely actually changed my opinion. I got to play this a little bit more. I talked to Iota about it. This is a character where in neutral, yes, dash tag goes through the items, but potentially that's not what we're worried about, okay? You have to shift your gaze from matchup to matchup in terms of how you want to play, what is potentially really good. And in this instance, edge guarding him is really strong. And so being able to throw the chest, being able to weak nair, being able to double dip off stage, you wall jump, you rinse, you repeat. Etilus should die every time he's off stage. Because even when he goes up above the ledge, you can just do that lingering up B hitbox to take him out. And then he's got no jump. And then he's in a terrible spot. So, neutral can be a little tough, I'll admit. But that's no reason not to have a +2 matchup. And I mean, when you buy the earring in this matchup and dunk him off the bottom, it's even better, right? It's potentially unlosable. And so I think Slade really good into this matchup again. Etilus not having a lot to do against kind of the potential onslaught that we're throwing at him off stage. I think Olympia is a similar thing, right? A lot of Slade's moves don't send very far. A lot of Slade's moves don't hit very far, make you have to tech. And because of Olympia's weight, again, potentially, if we hit every single tech chase, if we're able to convert on every single down strong, on every single combo, we are potentially getting a ton of damage on Olympia. And then that weak nair off stage, tried and true, really, really potentially good for catching her up B and catching anything she's trying to do off stage. So you really have to look at the potential on this one of like, okay, when we are potentially getting our execution in check, we're potentially getting everything down. This is a character we're going to do well against very consistently. I think the other aspect of it is, again, even though Olympia is a slower character, she has the air dash. And so, again, mixing our potential of like grabbing an item and then doing like a short hop side B to kind of cover yourself while holding the item. Again, potentially really difficult stuff for Olympia to deal with there, because how does she break the wall, right? What does she do when you are potentially keeping everyone out that well? So really good stuff. Really good stuff for Olympia. Absa, you know what? I'm making a +3. Because I mean, this is the easiest character that we could possibly fight. We destroy this one. We already know. Again, the conventional stuff, down throw dash attack, right? Really hard for Absa to deal with up smash. But now we've also mitigated the weaknesses, right? We've figured out what was potentially going wrong. What parts of the matchup were hard, particularly like recovering showed up as a difficult thing to navigate. And our potential recovery, again, the amount of mix-ups that we get off of AGT that we're potentially able to reversal Absa with, she doesn't even want to go off stage versus us anymore. It's too risky, right? And so now with a character that doesn't even want to go off stage, we're doing big damage. Okay, we've found consistent kill confirms against her. She doesn't know how to approach against side B. Like, this character doesn't do anything to us. Like, it's potentially a complete blowout. It's really sad, actually. I think Galvin, another potentially very strong matchup. Part of what made the matchup hard is that offstage stuff, and we've really figured out, again, potentially how to climb the wall, potentially how to mitigate those recovery issues, getting like double, triple AGTs. There's some new tech that we found that give you an extra boost on up B. That one's a secret still. Because we're still testing out its potential, trying to test out what you can get off of that. The other aspect of it, it was hard to deal with like the combo game. It was hard to kind of land against him. It was hard to deal with the neutral B. We've potentially found a way to completely circumvent the neutral B. It's not really a problem anymore. Again, our item gameplay, we found ways to throw an item at the neutral B. We found a way to catch the item and then punish him for even doing the neutral B. It's really fast, but like potentially the consistency is there. So again, another matchup that is potentially hard, but because of how high our potential is, we've really dominated against this character. after a while, because just again the potential of what we can do to him is almost limitless. Lorraine is going to be the last character here, and she's the character we potentially do the best against. I think, the chair blocks the items. We found ways to get around that, right? The boomerang goes through the chair even still, so there's potentially ways to navigate that in a way that's not frustrating. She can 0 to death you. We gimp her recovery really hard, and again, in our potential situation where our recovery is quite strong now, and actually we figured that out. She doesn't really get opportunities to do those 0 to deaths. We now have kill confirms against her, and the additional speed from the potential text that we're finding from glide toss stuff is going to make it really hard for her to get around the stage without feeling threatened by items, right? It's going to be really hard for her to get around, really hard for her to contest us in a meaningful way because we're so fast and there's so many hitbox kind of flying around. We've really, again, potentially giving her a hard time, suffocating her very heavily, just because, again, we've potentially just walled her out and potentially applied a lot of pressure in a way that isn't manageable for that like grappler archetype. I think the other thing, again, on top of the edge, so often being able to pull items, hit her off stage, do the chest, nair, rinse, repeat. She's never getting back. And so even if things do go wrong, again, potentially we're killing her pretty much every time she's off stage. And so it's really ends up being really, really good for us. So, I mean, when you want to talk about Slade's potential as a character, it's magnificent, right? This is an incredibly good looking matchup chart. This is the matchup chart of a character who is potentially shaking up the meta, right? A character that is potentially changing the way we actually even like view the game, the way the counterpicks work, the ways that items works. They are potentially changing what Rivals is to play at a top level, because this is always going to be a character you potentially have to worry about. And so I'm excited. I'm excited for the future. I'm excited to see the potential of what's going on, right? I'm excited to see how we potentially push this, how we potentially find all these characters in losing situations, right? Can we move Claren up to a +1? Potentially sometime in the future, who's to say what we're going to find? There might be something that nobody's thought of that really makes it doable. So it's easy to be optimistic about this character when you talk about the potential of what's going on. And again, I think there's stuff to look forward to in the future. And so, guys, how do we feel? How do we feel having gone through this? How do we feel about the conversation at hand? How do we feel about this matchup chart that we've come to after this potential conversation about how things are going? And if you haven't figured it out yet, this matchup chart is effectively the equivalent of performance art. It's effectively the equivalent of performance art. This is not my belief, but so many people, when I put out my last matchup chart, kept coming to me trying to talk about Slade's potential and patch culture and the way the direction of the game is going by releasing new characters and then buffing them, quote unquote, too quickly. And I wanted to do a video like this to talk about it a little bit. And I wanted to talk about this from a perspective of, like, what is patch culture? How does it work? And this opinion that every character has potential. And so one of the main arguments that came up when I was talking about my matchup chart with other folks is people pointed to Melee, right? And people were like, well, look at Melee. It's been 23 years, and characters like Donkey Kong, characters like Luigi are getting pushes forward in the meta like they haven't before. And that game hasn't had a patch in forever, right? And so you can see the potential. Even if you don't know exactly what it is, someone is going to push it. I think the obvious answer to that is, unfortunately, as much as we might love Rivals of Aether 2, nobody's willing to wait 23 years to play Slade the Shark. The other aspect of it is Melee is an esport that will never be recreated. Almost no esport in the history of the world outside of a specific few have even lived to see 20 years. Hell, even lived to see 10 years. And so this expectation that people are going to be playing this game for that long, having a passionate community that follows it, again, it's optimistic, but it's incredibly unlikely. Especially in a game where people want to try the new and fangled thing. Characters are coming out constantly, every 3-4 months, something that Melee does not have to deal with. And so that argument to me falls a little bit flat because you're talking about the potential of waiting, the potential of somebody pushing something still bad, by the way. Luigi and Donkey Kong are not considered top tiers by any stretch of the imagination. Something that is still not good, but good enough that you can get wins with it. And unfortunately, again, no one said you couldn't get wins with Slade. The problem is anyone willing to wait 23 years to do it? And at that, you have characters like Ness, Game & Watch, Bowser, Ganon, to a degree, like Pichu, characters in Melee who are still waiting for their potential to come through, still waiting for somebody to push it. Is it ever going to happen? We don't know. We certainly don't have the community that is pushing that sort of thing, and unfortunately, it's very hard to rely on. The other argument, I guess the other aspect of this argument that kind of bugged me was the people talking about the potential of certain characters and how potentially good they can be are not the people actually playing those characters. People like myself, people like Naga, people like Iota, people who have played Slade to the highest level that he has been played so far, have hundreds of hours on this character, have had multiple conversations, multiple sessions labbing what he can potentially do. And yes, we are still finding out more stuff, but the people figuring out is us. Not the people telling us that he has all this potential. And that's one of the things that bugs me the most, because you'll ask those people, well, why did you drop Slade? If he has so much potential, why aren't you helping us find it? Right? Obviously, we're too stupid to get it done. Why aren't you helping us find it? And the answer is always, oh, I didn't find him fun. He's not a character for me. And you get to another point where you're like, okay, if there's a character in the game that 3 people find fun, and those 3 people are pissed off, who's left? And why didn't you find him fun? Surely the thought of untold potential, untold directions to go with the character sounds like something that would be engaging. Surely you would be in the lab trying to push it as far as possible, but the reality is you don't actually have any fucking ideas. You have no idea where to go, and the people who actually do are the ones you're getting mad at in the conversation. That shit is pissing me the fuck off. The people who follow, the people who do not do, telling those who do how they should do it. It's old, it's tried, and it's not smart. It's not smart because you don't even believe in yourself. Oh, he's not fun. No, he's fucking bad, and you figured it out, and you're coping because you have this opinion that you think makes you sound ascended. When we talk about this opinion of, oh, but every character has potential. Every character can be pushed to the absolute limit. Every character can win. Yeah. That is the opinion that for some reason, this opinion that any character can be pushed, any character can win, any character has potential. Tiers don't exist. They say it like it's a hard opinion to have. Like they've thought deeply about it, and like it makes them better at the game. Like it pushes them to new heights, like their mentality has ascended beyond what we are capable of. But the reality is, The opinion that tiers don't exist, that any character can be good, and that potential exists wherever you want to look for it is the easiest opinion to have. It's the easiest opinion to have by far because it actually requires no thought. It doesn't require you to engage with the game at all. You could close your eyes, not know what the characters do, and still hold the same opinion. And yet, you are here telling the people trying, telling the people labbing, telling the people with hours in the game that they can do anything, something that you don't even believe in yourself to do. It's old. And it's not based on anything because, again, no matter what you see, no matter how bad something is, you don't have to engage with it critically. You don't have to think about how to fix it. You don't have to think about the potential because you just believe that it exists. You are not the finder of potential. You are simply the one who says that it's there, despite having no fucking idea if it does or not. Lock in. Lock in. Meanwhile, the people who are actually trying to find it are telling you it's frustrating, are telling you it's hard. And that's not inherently a bad thing. But when you don't know what you're talking about, default to someone who does. And try and have a productive conversation about where it's gone wrong so far, at the very least. And if you believe that this potential exists, if you believe that it's somewhere there out there, I'm all fucking ears. I would love to hear what you have to say, because everybody pushing it right now can't find it. And we're not willing to wait 23 years until we fucking do. Like, get off your high fucking horse and engage with the world around you in a way that is meaningful. Think about your opinion before you say it. You've not ascended. Your mentality's not better. I will never lose to you. I will not lose to you, even though I'm pissed off. Your mentality does not make you better at the game. It makes you seem foolish. It makes you seem like you don't think about it. And so get off my ass about it. I think the last thing is the argument that this character is so complicated, is so complex, that we haven't even scratched the surface of what is possible because there's so much depth there, as if glide tossing has not been a mechanic for the last 18 fucking years. It blows my fucking mind when people tell me there's so much potential in glide toss. How do you glide toss? What do you do with glide toss? I've been glide tossing since I was 9 fucking years old. It's not new. We know what you can do with glide toss. And there are some nuances to the system. And yes, there are some ways to figure out what Slade can do with it. And there are ways to continue pushing it. But this is not a mechanic that is entirely out of left field. Dancing Blade is not a move that has never existed before in Smash Brothers. Slade is not that complicated. It's not that hard. And I've been saying since day one, this character is not complex. He's simple. If you know how to glide toss, when to glide toss, you have a rough idea of how to play this character because his moves are simple. Nair, bear, fair, down tilt, F tilt, up B, up strong, work exactly how you think they would work. There is nothing there that is novel or complex or takes a PhD to learn about. The thing that is hard about this character is to do the same things in neutral and advantage that everyone else does. You have to play an entirely different game that is more careful, more calculated, and less rewarding. But you wouldn't know that because you haven't fucking tried. And instead, you're criticizing me and others, the ones who have, for not recognizing the potential in something that you haven't even engaged with, that you've refused to engage with, because unfortunately, the answer you're going to come to is the same as us. And then you're going to have to say that we're right. And we can't have that. All of this is not to say that the character can't get better. He can and will get better. right? There are things that are not optimal that people are doing right now that you will discover, figure out how to optimize. The edge guarding will get better as people figure out certain routes against certain characters. That is stuff that will improve over time. Absolutely. And that will make the character more relevant in certain matchups than he is right now. But we can anticipate what those things look like. We know roughly what will be pushed in which direction, unless a glitch or something wildly out of left field is discovered that nobody anticipated. The other aspect of it is like, he will get better. That's not what I'm saying. But unfortunately, we know what he does now, roughly. Again, this is not the most complicated character to be ever added to the game. He's not even much more complicated than Lorraine. I would argue he's not more complicated than Lorraine. He's not more complicated than Absa. He's not more complicated than Raster. He's less complicated than multiple characters that already exist in the game. And so, to act like there's this transcendence is so frustrating. Especially, again, when you're talking to the people who are the best at the character currently. And so, does he need buffs right this second? No. You can wait it out and see, okay, how bad is he truly? Right? Is he bottom 1 or is he bottom 3 or is he bottom 5? But the matter of the fact is, people aren't having fun. The character doesn't feel good to play. The people who are regularly labbing him and regularly trying to figure things out aren't finding things because there's nothing there. And so whether you think he gets way, to bottom 5 or not, that's still a character that needs some help. Even from the perspective of the character just needs to be more fun to get more people to play him. But instead, here we are, arguing about let him cook. Let him cook. As if you're the person who's going to cook. You're not. You're basically saying, I'm waiting here for you to cook. What a fucking joke, man. What a fucking joke. And we don't have 23 years to wait. The last thing that some people have brought up is overreactions, right? Buffing characters too early. This is where potentially my opinion differs from some people's. And that's fair. But let's take a look at this list. I'll take a screenshot of this real quick. So we have potential men. People have been talking about overreactions in the past. If we take a look at this list, which characters have been good for the entire duration of the game? Fleet, almost the whole time. The rest of these, effectively the whole time. Do you notice anything about the characters who have been good for pretty much the entire duration of the game? There's one DLC character who was amazing on release, and every other character here is a base character. Every other character who has been good consistently is a character who was in the game when it came out. Of the DLC characters that were bad when they came out, because all of these characters were seen as bad when they came out, all of them but Slade so far have gotten buffs. The only one to reach top tier after getting buffed is Etilus. This is the only one who, after he got buffed, was able to compete with these characters. And the reason is because his buffs made him a new character. So he actually didn't get any prep time because the way that they buffed him was out of a bunch of moves that just didn't work. And so he got buffs that made him a new character. People had not practiced him. People had not playtested him, and he became very good as a result of it. And now he's back to being a middle of the pack character. Okay? What about everyone else? Galvin, Lorraine, Absa. Absa has never at any point been higher than A tier. Galvin has never been at any point higher than B tier. And Lorraine has never at any point been higher than B tier. Some would argue C tier for both of these characters. Is this what overbuffing looks like to you? Is these DLC characters, all of them, overbuffed consistently into what? The bottom half of the cast? Lorraine and Galvin are still not good. They still have such low representation. And these characters, again, have been nerfed out of high tier at the very absolute peak. Absa, Galvin, and Lorraine have never in their entire existence been as good as Olympia, been as good as Fleet, been as good as Forsburn, been as good as Claren, been as good as Craig, or been as good as Zetterburn. And this is the overbuffing that we're complaining about when these characters have existed for the entirety of the game's lifespan. It's a joke. It's a joke. And not only that, but like these characters are finally viable because they got buffs. In a world where Etilus, Lorraine, Galvin, and Absa got no buffs and we just let them cook, they're still down here. I'm in fucking shambles about it. Can you imagine how bad these characters would be if they had never gotten buffed? Launch Lorraine was unplayably bad. Launch Etilus was unplayably bad. Launch Galvin, probably the best of them, was still bottom 3. And Launch Absa fucking also sucked. They were all bad. So what is overbuffed? Overbuffed means that they can compete with the top tiers who have never left? They can compete with the characters who have been dominating since launch? That's so sad. That's so sad that that's what we consider that to be. That's overbuffed. That's too good. To be able to compete with Craig. To be able to compete with Claren. To be able to compete with Zetterburn. You have to be overbuffed. It's a joke. It's just not even true. And you can see it in the results. And so I don't get this argument at all. The idea that characters have been overbuffed because they have not been allowed to cook long enough, to me, is a joke. Galvin got nerfed in the most recent patch, and his representation and their results are falling off a fucking cliff. Why did we nerf this character? Why did we nerf Absa with one representative at the top level? What are we doing? These characters still fucking exist. But this is overbuffed. It's just not the case, man. It's not the case. Characters are being released weak, they're getting buffed, and people are somehow complaining about that, into getting them nerfed. People are somehow complaining, and we talk about patch culture. Oh, we shouldn't be buffing this character. We shouldn't be talking about this character. We shouldn't be buffing this character. Why are we nerfing characters that aren't fucking good? Why are we nerfing characters that have low representation, characters that don't win tournaments, and characters that just put themselves on the map? Why are we fucking doing that? It's beyond frustrating. But these are the characters that have been overbuffed. These ones are fine, because we're used to them. But these are the characters that are too good right now. You can't say that to me with a straight face without sounding like a joke. Nobody plays these fucking characters. And it's sad. Because they are outclassed by characters that have outclassed them for the entirety of their existence. And we are talking about overbuffing. I hope we fucking do. It would be nice to have a character that could do this. It would be nice to have a character that could do this. I fucking reset my screen. Wouldn't it be so sick if for a meta, these characters were pushing it? Wouldn't this be fucking cool? What if we, like, for a little bit? For a little bit, what if? What if? What if? What if? What if? What if? Like, would that be so fucking bad? It's not. It wouldn't be. We would be okay. And so, this doesn't compute with me. This argument doesn't compute with me. And this idea that we don't know when characters are bad or good is a joke. Slade is not complicated. Again, AGT has been in the game for years. For years, bro. And yes, characters will cook over time. And we will buff characters and nerf characters and make adjustments as more stuff is found out. But that's why we have the patches. You want to know something funny? Naga found something with Lorraine where if you did the wave bounce side B, you could get side B, laddering people off the side that led to 0 to death starting at like 10. This was a tech that was found for Lorraine. The potential, right? Somebody found the potential. Right? Somebody found something with Lorraine that could make her threatening at a high level. Guess what happened? Guess what happened to that tech? It was nerfed within a week of it being found. And you're trying to tell me we need to look for the way to push these characters. One of the best setups that Lorraine has ever had was removed within a week of it being found. It's a joke. We didn't even get to see how good it was. We just determined that it was too strong. And this character has suffered because of it. People are still pushing her. But why? Find ways to break the game so we can remove it? Is that what we're talking about? This is another reason why we are not analogous to Melee. We take things out of the game. It's just the argument's bad. It's so bad. And I'm tired of people trying to talk to me about this in this way. Because again, this idea that anyone can do anything is the easiest cop-out, brain-dead opinion. Because it doesn't require you to engage with the game in any meaningful way. The people who are labbing and the people who blindly believe are not the same. The people who steal tech from other people after it's been found are not the same as the people who found it. And I'm tired of being lectured as if they are. This has been a long rant. This has been a long rant. It's been a long video. And effectively, what I'm trying to say is, get off my ass. Think about what you're saying. Think about your argument for 2 seconds before you come at me and are like, oh my God, I'm so angry. I'm so mad. Yada, yada, yada. And again, I think the balance in this game is good. Someone's talking about making matchups more fun, balance overall, good, bad, the character, whatever. I think the balance in this game is extremely good. And because the balance in this game is so good, it's very easy to tell when a character is bad. It's easy to tell. And so I'm tired of being gaslit into pretending that we haven't been playing platform fighters for 23 years. I'm tired of pretending that in a game like Rivals 2 that is not going to be around as much as Melee, a game that patches do come into, something that Melee never had to worry about, that we can identify what is immediately strong and what is immediately not strong. And these same people, give them the Genesis version of this game. The original beta for this game, the Genesis version, where Rono was a fucking demon. And when Crag was unstoppably good. If we were like Melee, we would still have S plus Omega tier Crag and unstoppable Rano. And for some reason, we're comparing it to Melee. Yeah, Ron is right. God Raster as well. The up air loop that never ended. And for some reason, the people who are like, just get better, hated that shit. Thought that shit had to be removed immediately. It's such a fucking joke, bro. If you can tell me with a straight face that you want to play against that Raster, you want to play against that Crag, and you want to play against that Rono, all at the same time, you want to come to me and say that, then you can start talking to me about being like Melee. Then you can start talking to me about patch culture. Then you can start talking to me about letting people cook over time. But you guys are fucking lying to yourselves. You're doing a bit because you think it makes you sound smart, but you didn't think about it for more than 2 fucking seconds. This game would not have lived without patches. And for some reason, we're like, oh, they're such a bad thing. Let everyone cook. Let everyone figure it out. You didn't want to figure it out. I was there. I talked to you. You can't talk to me like I just joined the community. I've been here the whole fucking time, bro. And so that's it. That's the post. I don't know what this video is going to end up being called. I don't know what it's going to end up looking like when I put it out there. But I wanted to reply to some of the discourse going on, again, especially around this like patch culture thing, because it was pissing me off. It was really bugging me. And people were trying to have conversations with me about it online, and it just like wasn't working. So the video title is called "Why Are You Booing? I'm Right." I wanted to put out a video discussing why I'm feeling like this again, because it's been on my mind and it's been frustrating. So thanks to everyone who watched. Thanks to everyone who listened. Thanks to everyone who was a part of the chat while we were recording this video. I appreciate it. I think this is a conversation that I've been wanting to have for a minute, and it's one that I think is important in terms of how we are navigating how the game is played and how people talk about it, especially when people are extremely dismissive and when people kind of sit on a high horse about having what is effectively the easiest opinion that you could possibly have. All right. Thank you.